Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Sleep here, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new Deadlock update, and holy crap, this is probably the biggest update we've gotten yet. Off the gate, we got 6 new characters in Hero Labs, which is a new kind of mode they're going to be trying out, where essentially you're going to be able to test out new characters that are going to come out in the future, so that they can get feedback on characters in terms of ability design and such way early development, so they don't really have issues with them later on. They're also adding commends, which is this new feature where you can kind of give people kind of a reward for being a nice player to play with and just being a nice person in their matches. It's kind of like how Overwatch's kind of weird encouragement system is. It's a cool little system, and I think it's genuinely pretty neat. The next thing they added to the game is a new shader, which will make it so a lot more of characters just pop out in darker areas, which is really nice for characters, especially like Haze, which are completely black for the most part and are kind of hard to see in really dark places. As you can see by this example, it helps a lot with just making your characters pop out more. They also recently updated the lighting and the skybox for the game, and it looks really nice. Here's a comparison for people who can't quite tell the difference just going into the game. Here's the before, and here's the after, and legitimately I love the new like sunset moodier look to it. It pops a lot more and it gives the game a lot more color, because before it kind of had this like flatness to it that looked really generic and boring. This kind of makes it so it's more set in this just moody kind of early, I don't know, it feels vintage and I really fuck with it. They've also recently updated the kill streak sound, so now there's like noises for when you're killing someone and you kill another person, and just this intensifying music for you doing better and better in matches. It should feel a lot more satisfying to be on those kill streaks and should be a lot more noticeable when you're actually killing people. They also updated something that I've been wanting in the game forever, which is this drag and drop build category thing in the game, because before, if you wanted to have like a category in a specific order, you had to make it first and you had to plan like way ahead. It was really annoying, but this is going to make making builds just so much easier and less annoying to deal with. They also changed some of the UI, so now you can see what matches were part of ranked and such. It's just cool little changes like that. Some other changes are there's new melee animations for specific characters like McGinnis, Lash, and I even saw one for Kelvin where he kind of does this big uppercut. It's really cool. I like it a lot. A big change that they changed that's going to change a lot of higher level play and potentially make people more incentivized to check out Urn, especially if they're behind, is they made it so that the Urn will change locations where you have to drop it off depending if you're ahead or behind other players. So if you guys are even, it's going to be kind of at the same spot it was before, but if you're behind, it's going to be more on your side, so it'll be a lot easier to grab. And if you're behind, it'll be on your side, so it'll be a lot easier to grab so you can catch up with the other team. And if you're ahead, it'll be a lot harder to return the Urn. Another change that's going to be very big, especially for McGinnis players, is base guardians and shrines no longer have out of combat regen. So when you're holding off people from getting shrines, it's going to be a lot harder. They made the game a lot more offensive based on that side, and it's going to make it so you can potentially get backdoored a little easier. They also buffed parry recently, so that the parry you can throw out more with its cooldown, and the period where the parry is active, where it'll put the stun on them, is slightly longer now. So people who really struggle against Abrams and just melees in general will have a little bit of an easier time this time around. They also changed up some of the layout of the map, so let's check out this new video on the new update they've done. So the big change is right here. This little hole here makes it so you have another path to getting to around your guardian and such. It'll be kind of nice for you to kind of get into a safer spot a little more, but it also opens up a little more ganking, which is just always nice to have in the game. So they changed up the area around the locker a little bit, so you have a little more incentive to actually use those little tunnels that they added recently, which I honestly don't see a lot of players use. So I'm happy to see more incentive for people to explore the map and try out new routes a little more. They also updated this general area for the little path upwards, so let's check it out. Cool. So if you couldn't tell by that, they made it so it's more stairs instead of a rope to get to the second floor. I don't know if I like or dislike this change. I'm gonna have to see how this feels in game, but the ropes sometimes did feel a little janky, and so I'm happy to see them at least trying some new things around those areas. As for item balance, I'm honestly not gonna really touch items because it's kind of hard to see in game how much an item impacts like a character and such. Like I could show you like the raw numbers in comparison to like a specific character, but honestly it doesn't really show you the full picture. So I think talking specifically about character balance and just generally gameplay changes is gonna probably be the format I use going forward. So that'll just be a little heads up for my future update videos and such. In terms of hero changes, we have a lot of interesting hero changes. The melee attack range on Abrams has been reduced by 15%, so that means you're not gonna be able to smack as quickly anymore. There's just a 15% more of a window in between every time you could throw out a melee attack. He also has increased gun fall off, so that means he's not going to be shooting from as far, and the rest of him is going to be mostly some bug fixes. Honestly, I don't think these changes are like horrible, but I don't feel like the gun fall off in specific was really something that was necessary in the game. I didn't really feel like Abrams was really sniping me all that hard. Bebop got some buffs this update. It looks like they updated his bullet damage growth, so you'll be getting a little more damage through your like laser and such. They also moved the resist hits per boon from bullet to spirit, which is an interesting change. It seems like they want to have him have a little more openness to getting hurt through bullet damage, which seems pretty interesting. But moving that power over to spirit so he has a little more spirit resist could be an interesting change, especially with how much a lot of counterplay around this character could be around like curse and such. I don't quite know how this is going to affect the meta of him since I don't really play him much, but it's pretty interesting. They also seemingly changed his sticky bombs to lose 20% of your stacks now, which is a bit of a nerf to him, so he's going to be losing a lot more when he dies, which should be probably the play. They should force Bebop players to be a lot more safer with them throwing out their hooks and their bombs and such, and so Bebop players should be playing a little more safer now. But this will incentivize higher level play and will kind of punish people who are a little worse, but will probably be a better learning experience for people overall. They also changed hooks so that it returns faster when you hook a trooper, which is nice to see. Grey Talon actually got some pretty big buffs this patch. He got base regen buffs, a gun spirit scaling buff, and they also made it so his move speed scales with spirit power again. So that means he can start running like an old... So that means he can really start running again, which is really nice to see. They also made it so that his strafe speed with stamina has been increased. So that means he's going to be moving around a lot faster when he uses his dash in the air, which is really interesting, and we'll have to see how much that really affects Grey Talon. Overall, I think this is a very big buff for Grey Talon, and I think this is going to probably make him a little more meta again. Infernus looks like he just got a basic nerf to his tier 1, which, I mean, Infernus burn was always kind of annoying, and so giving him just a slight slap on the wrist with his burn is just nice to see. Ivy this patch got a buff to her bullet damage, but got a nerf to her bullet damage growth and airdrop slow, so interesting little changes there. I think Ivy was a little annoying, but I don't really think the bullets were really the issue. I think a lot of people are really struggling with like Spirit Ivy and a lot of her like bigger like AoE attacks, but we'll have to see how that plays out over the next weeks. Kelvin seemingly got another nerf to Arctic Beam, with its slow being reduced from 50 to 40, which, once again, I said this last patch and I'll say it again, they seemingly don't know how to approach this move because it's either 90%, 50%, 40%, like they always move the numbers around in terms of the slow, and they don't really seem to have a sweet spot that they found yet with this move. They also nerfed the amount of heal that his grenade does now, which, again, I don't really feel like was a big issue. The big thing that they actually addressed that was actually really important here was the little bowl that you can summon with like the little ice bowl. Used to be able to just make it so you can't contest people trying to hurt the patron, which was really annoying, and it was just a really blatant bug, and so I'm happy to see that fix. Lady Geist is also getting a bit of a nerf this patch with Malice's slow being reduced, which is going to be a pretty big hit in my opinion because I feel like Malice is her best move. It also seems like your debuff duration has been reduced from 13 seconds to 9 seconds, and the damage amp has also been nerfed, so Malice just seems like it's getting... It seems like they are not really loving the amount of people that are just like silencing people and just running around and just being mad annoying with Malice, which interesting to see. I honestly didn't see much of a problem with the Geist, and this is gonna probably hurt her pretty hard. I could see her dropping a tier or 2 through this, but we'll have to see how that plays out long term. McGinnis is getting a gun spin DK rate, which I don't quite understand what that means. Maybe it means like how fast it takes to ramp up, or like how fast it takes to like slow. I don't quite understand what this means. They could maybe work on the wording here. Mini turret cooldown has been reduced, which is another buff to McGinnis, which is a buff to McGinnis. Mini turret spirit resist has also been increased. Spectral wall slow has been nerfed. Spectral wall damage has also been nerfed. And heavy barrage has been slightly nerfed, so you can't be shooting as close to you. So maybe that will slightly affect the recent builds where you cleanse yourself and you start running super fast with heavy barrage and just chasing people down. It seems they're trying to address a lot of the heavy barrage stuff that's been going on lately with McGinnis, which I think is really nice because I think that character is really toxic. And a lot of people clowned on me for calling that character really strong like a couple weeks ago, but now the rest of the community is really seeing the meta with that character. I didn't quite see, though to be fair, I didn't call what exactly would make this character broken in high level play, but I found the character to be annoying, and having everyone else finally agree with me has been really nice to see. Mirage is getting some pretty big buffs this patch. His fire scarabs are giving him a little more health now. His gen mark cooldown, which means the seconds in between each time you apply the stack, has been slightly buffed. So that means you're going to be applying stacks a lot more quicker as him now. His fire rate when he uses his teleport has been increased. He gets unstoppable off of his teleport now. This is going to be pretty big for Mirage, and I think Mirage was already really good, and so being able to have like unstoppable on teleport and such might actually make it so he could potentially go and steal Urn if he's able to time it correctly, which could be really interesting. Mo and Krill are getting some buffs and nerfs this patch. They gave him a little more headshot crit reduction, which is nice to see considering he has 2 heads. And his burrow bullet and spirit resist now persists while spinning out of the burrow. So that means when he's underground and you could kind of barely hurt him, that also applies when he's in those little spinning animation, which I don't know if I love or hate. I think Mo and Crow are already really good. And so him being able to have that resist while he's doing the attack kind of removes a lot of the risk of the positioning with that, but who knows? We'll have to see how that plays out. I think Mo and Crow might be really good this patch though. Paradox is seemingly getting some buffs to her pulse grenade here. Her pulses are now expressed as a duration rather than a fixed pulse count. Works with a duration extender, so her pulses got buffed. So they've also changed up her tier 1 to kind of coincide with this upgrade. And yeah, it just seems like she got some crazy buffs to her pulse grenade here. So now she's going to potentially be hurting you a lot more with her grenade. It seems that her carbine also got a buff, and so she's going to have access to it a lot more, and she's not going to be able to miss to evasion a lot more, which only affects her matchup against Mirage. Whoop-de-doo. Holy crap, this character might be disgusting this patch. I'm telling you guys, like, people have been in this weird debate where they can't really tell if Paradox is awful or good. She's not really great at, like, lower levels, but higher levels, she's amazing, and I think she's going to be, like, really disgusting this patch, and maybe lower level players will finally, like, start to understand the power of this character. 7 off the gate is getting a slight nerf to his lightning ball, so he's not going to be able to throw it out as much. And they seemingly are also nerfing the radius on it, which, I mean, it was kind of ridiculous. Dude was throwing out, like, some mini nukes with his bombs before. Dude was throwing out some mini nukes with his lightning ball before, and so it's interesting to see that. They also reduced the slow on it, which I don't know if, like, it was needed that much. I mean, 7 was kind of annoying, but I feel like the last patch really addressed him really well. We'll have to see how he really plays out on that end. The move speed reduction is kind of rough, but I mean, he scales with Spirit, so it's not going to be that awful. And they did somewhat make up for it with his Storm Cloud range also getting a buff and the expand time getting buffed. So that means the range of it is going to expand a lot quicker, and it's going to have a larger range now, which is going to be kind of disgusting in lower MMR. His knives got their radius nerfed, which is, thank God. That fucking hitbox on it was kind of wild. Bloodletting got nerfed, thank God. Bloodletting is disgusting. I hated bloodletting. I think bloodletting is legitimately one of the worst design moves in this entire game. And spoiler alert, they put it on one of the new characters. And I think it's just not good being able to just remove like 50% of all incoming damage. It's kind of disgusting. Seemingly just Shiv is getting big nerfs this patch. Like, they're nerfing his heavy melee build up through Rage, which was a huge part of his melee build. That's gone now. His killing blow buffer duration has been nerfed slightly. And it looks like his build-up versus creeps has also been nerfed, so he's not going to be having rage as much anymore, which could be very good. Which could be a very good way of addressing how kind of strong he is. I mean, this character could do like a 1v3 like really easily right now, and it's kind of disgusting. Overall, I think this is a good way of addressing Shiv, though I'm a little disappointed they didn't address Haze this patch, but some people in higher MMR also don't think that character is really good right now. I think they're full of it, but we'll have to see how everything plays out. Vindicta seemingly got a bit of a buff. She got some scaling with her fire rate with spirit power now, so she might be doing some old like talent stuff when she's in the air now, which is kind of crazy. They seemingly also buffed her flight, so she's gonna be in the air a lot more, which I mean we just got that addressed last patch, but we'll have to see how that turns out. And they gave her some quality of life stuff with her assassinate. This I think is gonna probably be pretty disgusting. Her assassinate bullet range, that means that her bullet just gonna hit you a lot easier, which is gonna be really fucking gross. I hope it doesn't hit you behind walls and stuff. Overall, it seems like a big W for a lot of Vindicta players and a big L for everyone else. Viscus seemingly just got nerfed this patch. His bullet damage was reduced. His bullet damage growth per boon has been slightly increased though, so maybe in the long term it will be better. His cube's tier 2 has been moved to tier 3, so that means his early game has been slightly nerfed. And his splatter has been nerfed slightly, so it's doing less damage, which I mean, like, thank God, splatters are really, really gross. Gooball also has less spirit resist than before, so Viscus got kind of fucking shot in the knees this patch. Kind of bad for Viscus players, but is what it is. As for Warden, his alchemical flask slow duration has been nerfed slightly. His alchemical flask weapon damage duration has been increased though. His binding ward escape time has been reduced, so that means you are not going to be able to escape as easily. So they're really making that time where you get bound down on the ground with this cage a lot smaller, which is going to be pretty rough for people, especially in like lower MMR that really hate fighting against Warden. Pair this up with the range also being buffed, and yeah, Warden is taking a big W this patch. It also seems that Last Stand tier 3 also grants you unstoppable during the 2-second channel, which is going to be really, really nice to have. I wonder if he'll be able to do some jank involving the mid-boss with that, but I wonder if he'll be able to do some jank with the mid-boss with that. Anytime I see unstoppable on like any like passive, I just really think of Yamato ult and how that could potentially be like really good for something. Who knows though? For Wraith, it looks like her card trick base damage has been nerfed, which thank God, that was so annoying to go against. And it seems that card trick cooldown has also been increased, so card trick in general just got nerfed and landed really hard, which I think is pretty good. Wraith has an insane solo lane, and so this has just made it slightly less of an annoyance for people going against it. Telekinesis also got a bit of a nerf to its cooldown, which I don't quite remember what ability that is. That might be her teleport, or that might be her ult. I don't quite know. Overall, it seems like Wraith got a little bit slapped in the early game, but I think she'll be okay. Now Yamato, I've been playing a lot of Yamato, and so I'm gonna probably feel really good about this one. Yamato got nerfed, so she's not able to cast an ability while being in Flying Strike, which was a bit of a stupid ability. She was able to kind of charge up her like slash attack while she was like stuck to someone, and it was kind of a fucked up combo. They also seemingly fixed the bug with Crimson Slash, which I can't tell if I was affected by it or not. We'll have to see. And her shadow transformation got a slight buff with it now giving you plus 20 fire rate, but honestly, I don't think that's gonna really help her all that much. I think they really need to bring back like some of the reduction for damage on that shadow transformation, because it feels really rough to get out of now. I mean, these are really nice changes, like having access to it a lot more often and having that fire rate is going to be pretty good. I think she's going to probably have a lot more incentive to go down that gun build. But right now, I do think they need to add a little more of that like spirit and bullet reduction on her. This is easily one of the biggest patches they've had so far, and honestly, I'm very happy with this patch. I will be covering all the individual new characters within the Hero Labs over the next week, so hopefully every day I should have a video up going over each individual character, showing you their moveset, and playing a game with them, which should be pretty damn cool. I'm so excited to try out the new characters. Like, I'm happy we finally have Holladay, Calico, Wrecker, Fathom, and Viper Magician, which is just like new characters. I don't know, I'm so excited. And if you guys are excited too, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye.